There we go. Merry Christmas. You want to win out, huh? That's good. Merry Christmas Eve to everybody. Does it feel like Christmas Eve? Yes, Merry Christmas to you and yours, everybody. Just getting a little bit started here. Kind of trying to come up with some topics today if you want some topics. I'm good. I like this lighting here, not heavy TV lighting. This is nice. Life is good today. I hope it is good for everybody. It should be. You know, it's been a kind of a crazy, angry week on social media, man. After the Raiders won a game and other teams, the Cowboys, it's just hard week, man. Everybody's just going crazy, man. Calm down and enjoy Christmas. Enjoy your family. Get off social media. I'm going to get off social media. I'll tell you that I say that. I hope I do. I hope I get off social media for a couple days. All right, let's get this started in a minute here. Yeah, we're not going to do brick haters, Surfer Bob. We don't like that. So, no hate. No hate. Anybody who hates me doesn't know me, man. I'm the best guy you know. I got more friends than I can count. Most of my friends aren't on social media. That's for sure. What did you think of the Saints last night? The first team shutout in all of football were the Saints. That's a bit surprising. There was only one shutout this year. The big surprise. Yeah, I'm doing some last minute Christmas shopping and I'm late. I'm going to get out of here. We have the head coach today at 2:15 after I end the show. So we can stick around, interview Antonio Pierce, and then hit the road and get back to my home. And I already started cooking this morning. So I cooked 2 trays of chicken cutlet parmesan. Put them in the fridge. We'll throw them in the oven tonight. And go to Mass at 6 p.m. Yes, go to church on Christmas Eve. And then have a nice Christmas day off. And then I'm working Thursday, Friday. We won't be on locally, but we'll be on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 82. We'll do that. Let me get the tweet out, let everybody know they can click on that link. You know, we'll probably get to 6,000 subscribers pretty quickly here, and then we want to get to 10, then 20. So it's a process. It is a process to build this YouTube channel, but I appreciate you. Subscribe for free, right? Harry Ruiz will join me today, and Bill Williamson, who can get pretty not intense. He's a calm guy, but he can get after it pretty good. All right, what do we got in here? I've been a member of St. Clair's for 60 years. I'll be at Mass tonight at 10. Very good. Important to go to your house of worship on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. That's not too much to ask for. I think we'd all agree. All right. Everybody else good? We good? Felipe, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, working on Christmas Eve. I don't know when we're going to bring in Mark Davis. I could bring in Mark Davis whenever we want. It's not a good season here. I talk to Mark often, and Mark is fired up. Okay, let's see. You got me? Hello, Bobby. Okay. So you edited that bite? You heard that bite with the edit? All right, I'm going to throw to that. Cerveza, Modelo. I think I'm going to have a dry January. I'm going to take off from the beverages for a couple weeks before Super Bowl. I like to do that every few years. Haven't done that in a while.
Years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes it off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT live from Raiders headquarters. I'm back here again. I thought I'd be off today, but we're not off today. We're doing a Christmas Eve show, and I got word from the Raiders that I'll be interviewing the head coach, Antonio Pierce, at 2:10 today, immediately following this broadcast. So I'm going to stick around, talk to head coach Antonio Pierce. That's kind of my big job every week, is to talk to the head coach of the Raiders. We'll sit down. We'll do about 10 minutes on Christmas Eve. I'll talk about the win against Jacksonville, preview what's coming up against New Orleans. Man, New Orleans last night shut out. The first team shut out this season. Man, that was a bad game. Or possibly Green Bay is that good. We are live on YouTube. So wherever you are, you should have YouTube on your app, on your laptop, at home. People have it in their car. It's really easy. You just go to YouTube. My dad does it at 86. You can do it. JT the Brick, YT for YouTube, and subscribe for free. You can watch the show. You can get in the chat. Get in the chat here with everybody and chat it up. And you can watch the show, and then the show lives on demand because Bobby and I don't want to have to put this show in the radio archives. Those days are over. I mean, those days are so gone. I mean, you want to talk about things that'll never – like we used to back in the day take our radio shows and put them on MP3 files and – used to put them on CD. Every year I went to the Super Bowl on Radio Row, and at the end of Super Bowl, we put together a CD, kind of the best of our Radio Row, 2 or 3 minutes of all the interviews that we do. That's in the back of my garage somewhere. And now what's great about social media and mostly YouTube is you do a show and it lives there. If you want to go back and watch it. And I'll say this with all honesty, because I'm an honest guy. I don't go back and watch a lot of stuff that I do. From all the stuff I do it. It's there, and then I move on for the next day. But there are people who travel, and there's people who work at night. The truckers have been following me for decades. You want to catch something on demand, the best way to do it is on YouTube, and then we cut it up and we make clips out of it. So when I pop a head vessel or if I go nuts, you'll be able to see 2 or 3 minutes that my son will cut up. But Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you have a tremendous Christmas Eve and a Christmas holiday. It's been rough around here. It's been really chippy as of late. And a lot of people are pointing fingers, not the players and coaches, but the fans have been pretty aggressive. A lot of fans, the majority of them are great. I hope you think the same of me. Most of the time, all I do is wish you well. I want you to win, no matter what. It's all I care about is winning and for everybody to have a good time. And it's been a tough year. And it's not our last show of the year. We got a couple more shows coming up before we flip the calendar to 2025. But it is Christmas Eve. Hanukkah starting tomorrow. So for you and your family and everybody in your life, I hope you have a happy holiday season. And thanks for being here. Yes, Kenny, Merry Brickmas to everybody out there, and I hope it's a good one for you. I'm behind. I'm just behind. I haven't been able. I've been buried work-wise, and we're in the middle of the NFL season. We haven't gotten to the playoffs with the overall NFL. So my wife's rallying for me. I got up this morning early before the sun came up, started prepping my once-a-year meal. I cook once a year. Now, I barbecue a lot. I can make a sandwich or two. I can make a patty melt. I can cook if I have to, but this is the year where this is the day, the only day of the year I get in the kitchen and cook all day. I prep the chicken cutlet parm. I pounded out the cutlets. I cut the mozzarella. I got the sauce. No, I didn't make my own sauce and own gravy. There's some great companies that can do that. We got the fresh bread for tonight. I have a ravioli side. We have a pasta side. My wife will help make a great salad. My two sons will be at the table. I miss my parents. They're back in New York. My sisters are back there. We'll pour some vino, some Cabernet Sauvignon. While we're cooking and doing that, we'll go to Mass at 6 p.m. Yes, for those who have faith, you better believe it. I'll be right there praying for everybody at 6 o'clock tonight. And then we'll preheat the oven. We'll put those cutlets in there, covered in sauce and mozzarella and tomatoes, and it will come out piping hot. We'll have a great meal tonight. We are an open your gifts on Christmas family, not Christmas Eve. And we'll have a great time with my son and I. I wish I had my extended family on my wife's side and on my side here. But when you choose to go out west when you're a young man for work and a life and you want to get out of the cold, one of the things that hurts the most is you don't have a winter Christmas. You have a Christmas in Vegas. And a lot of people are traveling out of Vegas, coming into Vegas, because it truly is a wonderful place to be. We got the Las Vegas Bowl coming up. My buddy John Sasenti puts on that bowl game every year. We're going as a family. Love the bowl game, Texas A&M versus USC at Allegiant Stadium. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then on Sunday, Eric Allen and I will host the Raiders pregame show early. It'll be an early start. We'll be back in the studio where I am today at 8 a.m. Also on Thursday, Friday, coming off Christmas, I'll be hosting Mad Dog Sports Radio from 9 a.m. to noon Pacific time, doing 3 hours there. So it was a busy week. As I said yesterday, I came off my longest day of the year. I did 9 hours of solo radio in 19 hours. That isn't a record for me, but it's close. From ending up the Raiders pregame show for 90 minutes at the stadium, doing 3 hours on Mad Dog. We came in yesterday, and we did 2 hours here. I did 3 hours last night over at Wynn. We did the Rich Gannon interview, and we did the TV show Raiders Rundown. And today I'm interviewing the head coach. No pats on the back. It's not a grind. It's fun. It's what I love to do. But as Bill Belichick said, no days off. We'll take tomorrow off for Christmas and then just pick up right for it. And then we're going to end up going down to Radio Row in New Orleans, which I'm excited about for that. And we'll cover the Super Bowl and the draft. All right, so I'm going to start off by playing this Antonio Pierce bite. I could do one of two things today. We could do a very soft Christmas cookie type show where people say great things, or we can do what we always do, go hardcore, sound off like you got a pair, and talk about the NFL and the Raiders. We have a nice Raider audience here, but we also have people who are not Raider fans who are watching this broadcast and want to listen to the show. And Antonio Pierce went off for a little bit yesterday at his press conference with this soundbite that he talked about wanting to win, which went viral not only in the Raider Nation, but throughout the country. Okay, that's a bit. Let's play that again. Let's play that
man,
again.
Look, we work 80 hours a day, or 80 hours a week. Staff, players come here, they're 40-plus hours to work. We don't do this to lose. We don't do this for anybody's fantasy football team. We don't do this for anybody's drafts, projections. None of that shit matters to us. Only thing matters is winning. And that's all we want to do.
Okay. So I've been saying the same thing for a while, that, I can't drop profanity on the radio. I don't do that. So we bleeped out the coach. And what he says is they just come here to win. And again, we have divisive people in this fan base that don't understand that. And then there are other people online and saying, no. We just want to be great next year. So losing is going to help doing that. And that's what I've been struggling with for over a month now, when we realized that the Raiders were going to have a losing season, one of the worst seasons in franchise history. A lot of fans wanted to start talking about March and April And we chose not to do it on this show because it would become toxic. It would become angry. It would be terrible radio. It would be predictions on players who aren't going to be there. And it would just be a waste of my bleeping time. And I don't waste your time, and hopefully you don't waste my time. So the coach said yesterday what I've been saying is that the team comes here to win. They're in the building to win. And most educated human beings can understand that. Most can. But the loudest and most toxic are on social media. They're online. They're on most social media platforms. And they're bullies. And they're haters. And they're angry. And they're furious. And they want to get attention by being mean. So all I've said, and I get those people exist, and you can either block them, you can mute them. They got this great new button now, mute button. Man, Elon Musk is unbelievable. I got 2 of his vehicles. He's got rockets flying up every 10 minutes and all this stuff. And there's a mute button now, which is great. So you don't have to block the human being. You just mute them. And you can go from there. So all I've been saying for months is what the coach just said. But the coach said it at the podium in front of the media there. And all they're trying to do is win. They're here every day working. I just popped my head out. They did the walkthrough. They're out there, watched a little bit of it. And that's all it is that the players want to win. The coaches want to win. The staff wants to win. Guys like me who work for the team, I'm on their flagship station. We want to win. And that some people can't come to grips with the fact that you can say that. Imagine being another human being and telling the people that are working their ass off the hardest that they shouldn't accomplish their goals. That's where we are. Because the last time this happened was when the Raiders drafted Jamarcus Russell, and there was no such thing as social media. So the fans who were screaming and upset about that season, you never heard from them, only on sports radio. And at that time, I was on 95.7 The Game or KMBR or the Ticket 1050, I forget. I was on Fox Sports Radio for 17 years, and I remember that time. But if you put me back in the hot tub time machine, I don't remember what the debate was on Jamarcus Russell, who went number 1 to the Raiders. How'd that work out? But I remember he deserved to go number 1. That's one thing that I can bring clarity to this building, because the majority of the people in this building, coaches, all the players, staff, were not here when I was anchoring the broadcast on the pregame show and the draft when Jamarcus Russell got drafted. And then held out and didn't come to Napa, as Mr. Davis sat in the booth every day and was working the phones and tried to get him to come in there and sign a contract. I remember that well. But there's no way for me to go back and look at it because Twitter wasn't invented. There was no such thing as Facebook, so we couldn't look at it. So from what I recall at that time, Jamarcus Russell deserved to go number 1. And if he didn't go number 1, 10 teams would have traded up at number 2 to get him. So he was the best player, quarterback, unique arm talent, great player coming out of college, not a good player. Now we fast forward to Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, and it doesn't look like the Raiders are going to be able to get those 2 quarterbacks if they stay in their draft position, because they went from number 1 to number 6. So for some Raider fans, that was like dropping a nuclear bomb in front of them, and it ruined their life. And it made them more angry, and it made them more pessimistic. And I'm sitting here, and the coach is sitting here, and everybody's saying, whoa, 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 there's still games to be played. We're not going to lose because you want to lose because you think it's going to help in some way. Now, it probably could help in the way if the Raiders got the number 1 pick, and it looked like they were trending to get the number 1 pick. But there's a caveat there and a big problem. They had to play 3 more football games. And did you watch New Orleans last night? Oh, they were awful. Oh, my God, they were terrible. They couldn't run a play. They couldn't run a play, throw a forward pass, or do anything. And Derek Carr's not walking through that room. There's an article today that he might be cut to save $30 million in a cap hit here coming up because they're over the cap more than any other team out there. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing because I know the Raiders are going to draft someone in the first round. Tom Telesco might trade up to get the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick, or he might trade back. Or he might get Jalen Milroe, a quarterback I like a lot from Alabama. Or he might get Jackson Dart at number whatever. I don't know. No one knows. Nobody knows. Tom Brady's working. He's busy calling games for Fox. When that ends, he'll be in this building. and plenty of time to tell everybody his opinion as an owner of this team about what he believes a great quarterback will be. And then we still don't know who they're going to take. Tom's not going to tell me, not going to tell you. No one's going to know. And we're going to have to wait around for that selection. So that's what's happened this week. And what it's done is it's put the Raiders, again, in the light because no one covers the Raiders right now. They're not on NFL Live. They're not on Fox Sports 1. They're not on the debate shows. No one's talking about the Raiders. They're talking about the Jets who stink because they got Aaron Rodgers, and he gets high on ayahuasca and sits on McAfee's show as long as he wants. So they talk about the Jets, but they don't talk about the Raiders much until this week. The coach came to the podium, dropped an S-bomb. He says, what are you talking about? We're here to win. We have a job to do. We must win. And then everybody goes out there and lives their lives and hopefully has a nice Christmas Eve and a nice Christmas. But the anger level is at a boiling point for a team that just won a game. And how bizarre is it that for one of the first times in the history of the famed Oakland, LA, and Las Vegas Raiders, a global franchise with one of the greatest logos in history in professional sports, fans are fighting amongst themselves over a win. Yeah, that's where we're at. That's exactly where we're at right now. I don't say rock bottom. I don't say pinnacle. I don't know where the team is. I thought the team was better than most people projected. If you remember hearing me in the summer in Costa Mesa, all the shows I did, I was standing up, pounding the table that the Raiders are pretty good, man. They're not getting any press. No one's talking about them. They're better than you think. I was wrong. But I do have an asterisk because everybody got hurt. Everybody got hurt. So that's kind of what happened here. They're not a bad team. They had a pretty good team. They had, I think, a little bit better than a 500 team that was trending to eventually be a playoff team. Then everybody got hurt. And the Chargers did better than I thought. I thought the Chargers would be a playoff team. I thought the Chargers wild card team. But I didn't think Denver would have a chance to sniff more than 5 or 6 wins in Bo Nick's rookie year. I got that wrong. And we know how good Kansas City is. And do you know anybody on the radio in your life that wants the Chiefs to lose more than me? I don't think you do. So with all that being said, what I thought about driving in today to headquarters is it was a really tough season as we flipped the calendar into the new year because we went into the start of the preseason without a quarterback. It was a quarterback competition. No. Can't have that again. No more. No more quarterback competition. No more. If the Raiders draft a quarterback, he's the guy. He won't play, so there won't be a competition. It'll be Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell will be the quarterback as we groom the young gun to get ready to play. And if the Raiders don't draft a quarterback and they go get a veteran quarterback, Sam Darnold, whoever it is out there, could be Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it could be. Man, I like Aaron Rodgers a lot after watching that documentary. I'll save that for another day. 2 years ago, I said I'd go pick up Aaron Rodgers at the airport if they got him. Remember when he was going to come back and play? He went to the Jets and then blew out his Achilles. He's fine. He's fine now. He recovered from an Achilles tear, and now he's fine. He's healthy. His numbers are decent. The team's a train wreck, mostly not because of him. They had a lot of injuries too. I don't think the Raiders are going to get Kirk Cousins. You never know. He's going to get cut, right? There's going to be other quarterbacks out there. But whatever happens, we went into this past season without a quarterback decision, without Malcolm Kuntz, who got hurt, and that really derailed us. And we went into the preseason, not the regular season, the preseason, not knowing what the hell we were going to do with the offensive line. We ended up firing the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach because it was a mess. Didn't know who was going to play. Colton Miller didn't practice. He was injured. Jackson Powers Johnson wasn't available to play. So we went into the preseason without a quarterback decision, without Malcolm Kuntz, and an offensive line that was what? I don't know. The offensive line that we clearly had no idea who was going to play. Thayer Mumford had to throw DJ Glaze in there. He turned out to be a decent player. That can't happen again. So I could promise you, I can almost guarantee it, but there are no guarantees. I can almost promise you that there won't be a quarterback debate heading into the next preseason. the offensive line that needs to be upgraded. Oh, yeah, it does. Oh, yeah, we need to upgrade this offensive line. That'll be fixed because the young guys are going to come back and play, and they're playing pretty good. And they'll probably bring someone else in. So that'll be okay. We know what we got with Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker. I think they're going to draft a really big-time wide receiver. And then they got all this money. They got all this Christmas money that's insane, the amount of money the Raiders have. But as we pointed it out, Jason Horowitz said it, the voice of the Raiders from the Torch, they got to go sign a bunch of guys. So with all the money that the Raiders have, assuming they re-sign Robert Spillane, right, the players Trayvon Merrick that are coming here, that's going to cost a lot of money. It's not Pro Bowl money. I hope Spillane gets in the Pro Bowl. But you're going to have to spend some money to just fill out the roster and bring the players back. So there'll be less uncertainty. But I think the point that I wanted to make here, that I wanted to say, is the anger is at an all-time high because they just won a game and they lost the first number one pick overall. There's still 2 games left. The Raiders, depending on what they do, could maybe get closer to the number one pick or not. We don't know. But I just hope that everybody understands what the coach meant. And Bobby, if we can play this one more time and nail this. Again, this was Antonio Pierce. We bleeped out the S-bomb. Very passionate. He's a passionate former player and now a head coach. And here's what he said again.
Yeah, man, look, we work 80 hours a day, or 80 hours a week. Staff, players come here, they're 40-plus hours to work. We don't do this to lose. We don't do this for anybody's fantasy football team. We don't do this for anybody's drafts, projections. None of that shit matters to us. One thing matters is winning. And that's all we want to do.
The head coach just said nothing matters. That's the outside noise. Okay, that's the outside noise. Nothing matters other than winning. I would hope as a fan of the Silver and Black, a diehard Raider fan, a new Raider fan, a fan of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that you would respect that comment and understand that and not throw kerosene on a fire. Try to be the person that tries to put out the fire. Just think of that as you go into your Merry Christmas. Instead of throwing gasoline on the fire and the forest fire that's burning because the team only has 3 wins and a lot of people aren't going to be back and there's a lot of uncertainty, you can sit back and say, I'm bummed out we lost the number one pick overall, but I like the fact that the team's fighting. And I respect that they're fighting. I don't want them to win anymore. You can call me. I don't want them to win anymore, JT. But I'm not going to get in the way and be an angry guy or gal and go after the team that you're supposed to love and the guys who are competing their ass off, playing injured, playing through pain, practicing every day without the vision of the playoffs. I would hope that you would be better than that because it's personally bringing me to a level that I don't want to be at. I don't want to see all this. I don't want to read about it. I don't want to talk about it much. I'd like to be a solution-based show, but it's hard to have solutions now. It's hard. There's no solutions. They're playing out the rest of the schedule. And he'll be calling the games, the Spanish voice of the Raiders, Harry Ruiz. Harry, Merry Christmas. I appreciate you, buddy. How are you?
Feliz Navidad, JT. Doing great, my man. How about you?
Feliz Navidad. Appreciate you. You called the game. What was the ebb and flow of the game? Because Jacksonville had the lead. The Raiders had to come back to retake the lead and win the game. And I thought they did a lot of good things, especially with Brock Bowers.
It was a tough one, JT. I mean, it was a slow game when it comes to the offenses getting any kind of rhythm. A season-high 13 punts in a Raider game that we had to call, my broadcast partner, Mayra Gomez, and myself. But at the end of the day, 11 full offensive drives for the Silver and Black. Only 4 of them went over 32 yards. They all ended with points with 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and that ended up being enough. It was tough, but at the end of the day, the team got the win, and I understand some fans being mad, some fans being happy. I've been putting it this way. The players, the coaches, in some of the fans' eyes, they were in a lose-lose situation. You win the game, they were going to be pissed off because of the draft positioning. You lose the game, the fans are going to be pissed off because of the losing streak being extended to 11. So the guys, they just went out there, they did their job. I'm happy they won. On to the next one in New Orleans.
Give me your analysis of Amir Abdullah, who's doing a lot of things in the passing game, special teams, and in the running game. Look, he made the team. I thought he would make the team in Costa Mesa. I didn't think he'd have a big role because Zamir White, another guy I got wrong. I thought Zamir White would have a big year. And now Amir Abdullah down the stretch seems to be the featured back, the number one option.
Heck, when Dylan Lowry got drafted, JT, in the 6th round, and you saw all his accolades, even though it was in the FCS level, you thought, you know what, this is a special teams guy. This is a guy that caught a lot of footballs from the backfield. This could be a replacement for Amir Abdullah. Here we have now a 10-year veteran who had his most productive game in total yardage and yards from scrimmage since 2017. His most productive game as a Raider in 3 years. He keeps finding the end zone, and we all wanted more from Zamir White. Alexander Madison didn't have a touchdown since week 6. We got the Sincere McCormick injury. This Raiders team has been just too hurt, and Amir Abdullah, it's the next man up mentality, and he's always been ready. If his number gets called or not, he's been ready, and now that it's being called, he's taking advantage of this opportunity, and I can guarantee you one thing. There's going to be a year 11 for him in the NFL.
Yes, Harry Ruiz, the Latino voice of the Silver and Black, joins us. Also the voice of USC as they're coming here for the Las Vegas Bowl. We'll get to that momentarily. So with you and the milestones with Brock, as you're calling these records now, rookie records, that is, I think that's pretty important to you as you're a new play-by-play voice in this league and calling games. And I asked this to Paul Allen last night when he joined me, the voice of the Vikings. What do you do when you look for Brock or Jacoby Myers when the huddle breaks and you're up there, binoculars or not, and you know that Brock's getting close to some of these milestone records, and you follow him as he comes out of the huddle and lines up to go run a route on a play?
It's just being prepared, JT. I usually have like 5 sentences of a big-time player. It used to be Devontae Adams. That was Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers. JT, the Brock Bowers sentence list on my chart is like 13 lines long because it just keeps growing. It's incredible what he keeps doing. Even his first catch, he got to exactly 1,000 yards. So I was like, okay, started in the 3-yard line, got to the 35. He needed 32. He's at 1,000 yards. So it's just being ready for any situation, and the stats just keep piling up. And even one that not a lot of people have been talking about, JT, in the history of the Oakland and Los Angeles Raiders, the Raiders only had one player with 100-plus receptions and 1,000-plus receiving yards in the team's history, 1997, Tim Brown. Since then, they've done it every year in Las Vegas. Darren Waller in 2020, Hunter Renfrow in 21, Devontae Adams 22, 23, and this year, Brock Bowers, as a rookie, did it. He has 100-plus receptions and 1,000-plus receiving yards. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. Harry Ruiz is our guest. Tell me about Isaiah Palomal and his accomplishment and calling his game, man. He really was an impact player in the AFC, had one of the best games that we saw in the conference.
He's the AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah.
He led the team in tackles with 9 tackles. He forced those 2 fumbles. He was hunting for the ball. He got it. And it's something important to say. It's his 3rd year with the Silver and Black, but with Marcus Epps' injury, it was his first opportunity in the NFL to start a game. And you're feeling his impact more and more every week. And the Raiders, they got 2 young bucks back there, Trayvon Merrick and Isaiah Polamau, and neither of them is missing a beat. I think they're 2 of the best players on defense that we've had this year. And Trayvon, he's excelled when he's closer to the line of scrimmage. Isaiah, when he's a little bit deeper. Isaiah got his first interception last year in Miami. He got those 2 forced fumbles this week. He just keeps increasing his stock in the NFL, and I'm excited that he's a Raider.
Harry Ruiz, as we wrap it up. So New Orleans was terrible last night. I mean, they couldn't run a play. Spencer Rattler was under duress all night. Derek Carr won't play. He's gone for the year. So the Raiders have an opportunity, Harry, to win another game. I think they match up pretty good against New Orleans. It's tough to win in that dome. That dome was really loud, but New Orleans is in kind of the same boat that the Raiders are in.
Yeah, I think the Westgate had New Orleans as a 2.5-point favorite, which if you look at it, it's just because they're home field. They have the home field advantage. If it was a neutral site, it would be a pick'em game. I look at how things are going right now, and I think it's going to be a pretty close matchup. You look at the Raiders this past week. They struggled to move the ball against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a consistent manner. You saw the Saints last night. They weren't able to find any consistency in the field. It might be another game where we might be calling 13 punts, or it might end up being one of those games between 2 teams with sub-500 records that they ball out, and they entertain the fans in the stands. Either way, I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, they have Demario Davis, the linebacker there, Cam Jordan. They're one of those teams that always have the same culture. The culture is linebackers sideline to sideline, attacking with the deep ball from Drew Brees to Derek Carr when they were there and healthy. So I think this is going to come down to a defensive game where New Orleans, you're going to want to get them off the field quickly, 3 and out, because if they can sustain drives and get Rattler going, he's got a big arm and he can run a little bit, and he's fighting to be the quarterback next year, much like Aiden O'Connell's trying to do that with the silver and black.
Exactly, and that's what, at the end of the day, some of the fans that say the word tank don't look at. You got players like Aiden O'Connell on one side, or I'm just going to focus on the Raiders right now. Jonah Laulu, who was waived by the Colts after being drafted in the 7th round. Kalavon Chason, who will rise to the Raiders on September 10th. You go over to see players like Polamau, who we just mentioned. This is their opportunity. They're not going to be like, I'm going to tank so the team gets better draft position. They're playing for their lives in the NFL. They're playing to make this team better and to show their worth. And they want to win the games, which at the end of the day is the most important thing. They're not just going to lay down or imagine, JT, that they don't show up to the game. They lose by default. The NFL loses millions of dollars. If they show up to play, it is to win. And both teams, that's what they're going to try to do. Even though sometimes it might not look as clean on the field, both teams are trying to get the dub.
Yeah, Harry, lastly, you're calling the USC game against Texas A&M. It's a big-time game. Texas A&M is a huge program. They're one of the richest programs in all of football when it comes to alumni and NIL. They're coming to Vegas to win. And USC, they won the kickoff classic, and now they can bookend it with 2 wins in the calendar year at Allegiant Stadium. They have a lot to play for, too. I just don't know what it's like. I know a lot of players are in the portal for SC, and A&M they wanted to get into the overall playoff, and they thought they had a shot about a month ago.
Yeah, we're actually talking about 2 programs with nearly 20 players in the portal, each including key players. The 2 Vegas natives, Zachariah Branch and Zion Branch, they just entered the portal, and they're between, I think, Alabama or Arizona State, or Georgia and Arizona State. It's not a good situation for college football, but at the end of the day, when you got the Aggies, when you got the Trojans, you're speaking about 2 teams that haven't faced each other in 47 years. And it's something similar to when LSU and USC played, that they hadn't played in decades. It's 2 big-time programs. You're going to see those colors on the field, and you know that the fireworks are going to fly. And we're in the same situation as some of the teams that are playing with sub-500 records in the NFL right now. These are players that want to prove to the head coaches, yo, I want to start next year. That happened with USC last year in the Holiday Bowl. Miller Moss, he threw 5 touchdown passes. He ended up earning the starting job for USC. Now he's on to Louisville. But you had 4 freshman wide receivers who just shined, and a pair of them are going to be out here in Las Vegas, led by Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane. So there's still very good players. There's talent on the field. It's not where they want to be, the college football playoffs, but when you get an extra opportunity to go out to the field with your teammates, with your brothers, you go out and you leave it out on the field.
Thank you, Harry. What's on the menu tonight?
Pozole. I'm heading out to SoCal right now a little bit with my girlfriend, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law. So we're going to head over to my sister's house and spend the night over there with the family. Same thing tomorrow, some discada, and then drive back to Vegas to get back to work on Thursday.
Be careful, Harry. I had the longest drive of my life this year. They're going to do a documentary on it. It took me 20 hours. I think it's clear. I got ways open here. I think you're clear here. So get on the road, get there safe, have a great meal, and then we'll see you back here for the Las Vegas ball.
Believe me, I've been looking at Google Maps all day, and I'm like, all right, we're in the clear. And that's usually how it happens for us. We've been lucky, so we're going to be in the clear. That's
good, man. Be safe, Harry. Thank you, buddy.
Happy holidays to you, your wife, and your kids, JT.
You got it. That's the great Harry Ruiz. Appreciate him. And that was 32 minutes brought to you by Golden Entertainment. They own the Strat. Think of that. They own the Strat, and they have over 70 taverns here. We call them PTs. They fuel the monologue. 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. So what's the topic you want to jump into today? I think the coach basically saying no one else matters. We're here to win is a pretty big topic, because that's all Raider Nation is talking about. And are there still message boards? As I'm looking at our team here today, I've never followed the message board. That goes back to the MySpace days. But are there still message boards, or are there fans? You know, I get a lot, JT, you're on the payroll. Well, I apologize. I get paid. You want me to do this for free? Should I resign today and then get kicked out of the building and go sit at a PT's and do a live stream there? Would that make you happy? What do you want me to do? I'm here. It's part of my jobs. I got multiple jobs. I want the Raiders to win. I'm trying to give you some Raider analysis here. We'd like to hear from the callers if they have something to say about the win And again, I understand that you don't want to drop too far down when it comes to the draft. Oh my God, we dropped to 13 and got Brock Bowers. What a nightmare that was. What a disgrace. We dropped to 13 and got Brock Bowers. Oh my God, it ruined the franchise. No, what's going to help is to get a quarterback. That's going to be our offseason programming. Might come via the draft. It might come via free agency. I don't know where it's going to come from. It's probably not going to be Shador unless Shador wants to be a Raider so badly that, I don't know, maybe he just only wants to play in Vegas. But I don't think his dad's going to let him do that. Merry Christmas, everybody. Christmas Eve, 702-365-9200. We're here for you on the holiday.
It's the morning tailgate.
Speak with Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports.
Other than Joe Burrow, every single quarterback.
Okay. Yeah, Big D, we have some good Bourbon Street memories. I just wish we had more recent ones. We were there a long time ago. Well, I disagree, man. Brock Bowers, also that Brian Thomas of Jacksonville, has better stats as a rookie as Brock. He's got more touchdowns. I think he's got more yards, I think. So Brock is going to be competing for that award. I think he's going to win it. I really do. But Brian Thomas over at Jacksonville, look at his numbers. They're great. Oh, don't thank me for working. I'm here. This is what I do. I like to work. I won't say that forever, but now I do. Shador is Raider Nation. Yeah, Shador could still be a Raider, as Vinny Bonsignor wrote about. All right, get some water to fuel the water. Hold on. What'd you say, Bobby? Okay. What's our schedule like, Bobby? What do we got coming up here? We're off the rest of the week, right? What about New Year's Eve, New Year's Day? Well, I kind of got to know what our schedule is at some point. I mean, we're coming back on Monday, right? Yeah. Which is what, New Year's Day? Yeah. But I think Q talked about New Year's Eve too, so just clarify when you talk to him. No rush, I don't need it today.
offer award-winning quality and style to see you through the holiday season. See why Chevy makes everything better and brighter. See your Southern Nevada Chevy dealers.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Well, with Amir, I'll just say this, man. Come in the season, probably third, fourth running back. More thing about special teams returner. Gets the opportunity, and all he's done is made the most out of it. I think every time he touches the ball, something good happens for us. Probably has one of our longest runs of the season. Go back to that Denver game in week 5. But he has a real, he's from the South. He has a real good presence about himself, speaks well to the team when he has spoken, and does a good job just around the locker room being positive. The question about the young guys and winning, I think, is just like I talked about, all that hard work. You kind of, make these guys understand. Look, it doesn't matter win, lose, or draw. Just like today, they're all in there working out and lifting. You do the same thing. It's a process. You just go with it, and at the end of the day, we count the chips and see how many wins we get at the end of the season.
It's Antonio Pierce on Amir Abdullah. JT back. Happy Christmas Eve to everyone out there. Hope you have a safe holiday season. If you're on the road, thanks for listening. If you're at home, you want to check out the show and subscribe. We're building up our YouTube channel, JT the Brick YT, so you can watch me sitting in world headquarters right now in this, I think it's well over $1 million podcast studio, TV studio, everything we do here. It's really nice to be able to come over here and have the opportunity to work from this building and do more and more of that in years to come. It's really a great place to inspire you. Last night I hosted my show from Wynn, and I park at Wynn and I walk in it's like a movie. You park, you walk in, and I'm in the middle of the casino, and it's Wynn, and it's a lot of cool stuff. And then get in that studio and did a nice show yesterday. Came home, and tonight we'll celebrate Christmas Eve at home with our 2 sons, and we're going to have a great night tonight. And I hope you have a good weekend. We got the Las Vegas Bowl coming up. There's a lot to do. A lot of people want to celebrate Christmas and New Year's in Vegas. So they come out here and they're getting in today. The airports are going to be packed and the roads are going to be packed. So give yourself a little bit of extra time. So I watched a little bit of the game last night. It was on in the background as I was talking and watching it. And I couldn't believe how bad New Orleans was. And Derek Carr went there, and I think Derek's intentions were good to go to New Orleans with Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen's been fired twice with Derek Carr as the quarterback. It's not Derek's fault. They had a lot of injuries too. The injuries are massive around the league. But when you lose Alvin Kamara and Derek Carr, that's the equivalent of losing, Gardner Minshew, who's around. I'm not saying he's better than Derek Carr, but he was in the conversation coming to this league, not to be Carr, but to be in that general vicinity when it came to stats, touchdowns and all that. And Gardner didn't play well. Derek played average. He had a pretty high quarterback rating, but he got hurt a lot. Alvin Kamara, healthy, is one of the best backs in the league. His career's done there. It's just not working out anymore. I don't know how much he has left. But they were bad. But Green Bay was excellent. And Green Bay is kind of under the radar now, everybody, because they're the 3rd seed in a division that's really good. You got Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay. So let's start off with the NFC. Detroit is the 1 seed. They win the tiebreaker over Minnesota based on head-to-head win percentage as of today. They play each other the last game of the year. If Minnesota wins that game, Minnesota would go from the 5 seed to the 1. Let that kick in. They go from the 5 seed Minnesota to 1. So what's going to happen in that division down the stretch is amazing. Philadelphia just lost because Devontae Smith dropped the ball that would have ended the game. They went to 12-3. They're completely, I think, safe of being the 2 seed as they've clinched at 12-3. Then the 3 seed is the Los Angeles Rams. Maybe the best coaching job of the year from a team that was 1-4. And now a team that was 1-4 is 9-6. It's all Sean McVay. You could talk about Puka and getting players back who are healthy. They're playing a lot of rookies. If you want to be optimistic, being a Raider fan going forward, if you want to be optimistic, look at what the Rams did with their young draft 2 years in a row and how they turned that team around. Rams are the 3 seed. Atlanta is the 4. Now, this is what fascinates me about Atlanta. They benched Kirk Cousins to go with Michael Penix Jr. This is a big topic to me because now is where you want Kirk Cousins, I believe, not Michael Penix Jr. I think Cousins is a better, more experienced quarterback to get you to the finish line because the Falcons either going to make the playoffs and be the 4 seed or miss the playoffs. And there's pressure on Penix now to get it done. They own the tiebreaker over Tampa Bay for beating them twice this year. Minnesota comes in as the 5 seed at 13-2. So if Minnesota catches Detroit, how big would this story be? Detroit, if they drop from number 1 to number 5 after being number 1 all year, there's a chance it could happen. Green Bay clinched last night. They're the 6th seed. They're 11-4. Not much more for them to play for. They might be stuck there at the 6. And the 7th seed is the Washington Commanders at 10-5. I think Washington's going to be in the playoffs. The only big change that we should see is Tampa Bay going from the 8 to the 4 and Atlanta going from the 4 to the 8. Other than that, everything else seems like it's pretty dialed in. That's your playoffs. As we go to the AFC, Kansas City has the 1. They're in 14-1. How the hell did they get to 14-1 this year? Back-to-back Super Bowls going for a three-peat. They're 14-1. Buffalo is the 2 seed at 12-3. They're locked in there. Number 3 is Pittsburgh. Now, this gets interesting. Pittsburgh's 10-5. They've clinched the playoffs. They win the tiebreaker over Baltimore based on best win percentage in conference games. That can change. The number 4 seed is the Texans at 9-6. They'll stay there. But they lost their 2 best receivers, Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell. They're a mess. Houston reminds me of the year when Derek Carr broke his leg and the Raiders made the playoffs, but they went into the playoffs without Derek Carr and were dead on arrival. That's the way I look at Houston. I think they're going to be the 4 seed and not win a game. Baltimore is the 5. They can leapfrog Pittsburgh. Baltimore can go from the 5 to the 3. Pittsburgh could go from the 3 to the 5. And then at 6 is the Chargers. Then 7 is the Broncos. The Chargers have the advantage over the Broncos based on head-to-head win percentage. And I don't think that Indianapolis is going to catch Denver. So if the playoffs started today, I think it's pretty much going to end this way. Kansas City will be the 1 seed. Now, if Kansas City's the 1 seed and Denver and the Chargers are the 6 and 7, Kansas City's not going to play week 1 with the bye. They'll play the lowest seed left in the playoffs when they come back to the divisional round. I hope it's Baltimore. I hope it's Pittsburgh, because if it's Houston, the Chargers, or the Broncos, Chiefs are going to win that game and be 1 game away from the Super Bowl. So if you want to see the Chiefs get beat like I do, we're going to need Kansas City coming off their bye week to play Baltimore or Pittsburgh. Those are 2 good teams. Baltimore can beat Kansas City and Kansas City. I don't think Pittsburgh can, but they're good teams. And then we want to see the Buffalo Bills as the last team standing against Kansas City, because I believe that Buffalo is better than Kansas City and can beat them in a parking lot, Arrowhead, Buffalo, wherever it is. But in order for Buffalo to get the 1 seed, they're going to need some help with Kansas City losing their last 2 games. I don't see that, but Kansas City's schedule is very interesting here in the final 2 games. They're at Pittsburgh tomorrow on Christmas, and then they play Denver at Denver. And that's a big game for Denver for obvious reasons, to try to knock Kansas City from the 1 down to the 2. So we got some good games coming up here. We'll go through the schedule coming up in the college football playoffs. 702-365-9200. Shutout 47 minutes into the show. Thanks to Harry called in. But I'm here for another hour and 10 minutes, and then I'm going to interview the head coach. So if you got something to say, sound off, because there's a lot of beer muscles on Twitter, and they just don't seem to have cell phones. There's a lot of chippiness on Twitter, but they just don't seem to find the cell phone or have directions to the torch. We're here to win games. The coach said it. I'll talk to him at 2:10 today. You'll see that for television and on all the Raider media platforms.
5. So you got about 3 minutes on the other side.
We should be basking. We should be in the afterglow of a victory.
Nobody loves to win more than Dark Side Don in North Las Vegas. Go ahead, Don. Tell us how much.
All right, we will do another few minutes here.
Okay, well.
The Raider fan in me was like, okay, yeah, we finna get a dub. But the realist in me was like, oh, we finna get a dub.
The Morning Tailgate, weekdays at 7 a.m. on Raider Nation Radio, 920 a.m.
You know, a lot of lawyers who advertise here don't even live here. If they say Nevada, they're not from around here. If they think our capital is Las Vegas, they're not from around here. I'm Richard Harris, and I am from Nevada. I grew up here, I went to school here. I raised my family here. No one knows Nevada like we do. If you've been injured, call me, Richard Harris, of the Richard Harris Law Firm. 444-4444, just in case.
Hey, Portasubs fans, ready for a deal that's big on taste but light on your wallet? Make it a combo for
Just
just $2.
win.
Just $2 more. You can upgrade with chips and a drink. Get more meal for your money and make your lunch a combo. Head to Portasubs and add chips and a drink for just $2. Offer available for a limited time only. Visit portasubs.com or order on our app.
Yeah, well, Devin should or might not walk in the door. So what the hell are you going to do if he doesn't walk in the door? What are you going to do? You're going to cry? You're going to be upset if you don't get the first pick? You're going to quit on your team? You're going to want your team to lose if they don't get the number one player? I mean, the team's trying to win, as you saw in the last game. Give them a break. Let them try to win. And then see what happens in the offseason.
With your wagers on the Caesar Sportsbook Nevada app, you can unlock free parking and much more.
Yeah, Fabian, they might win another game. They might win two. The thing I've been predicting for weeks. The Chargers coming in here with their playoff spot guaranteed, and they can't move. If I'm the Chargers, I wouldn't play anybody here at Allegiant Stadium. I wouldn't play anybody. I wouldn't play Herbert. I wouldn't play Derwin James. I wouldn't play Khalil Mack. I wouldn't play Joey Bosa. I wouldn't play anybody if I'm the Chargers coming in here. Raiders might win 2 in a row and get to 5 wins. I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, it's not going to help the draft status, but as you heard, the coach wants to win.
If you need it for 10 days, $55. And you can do the math from there.
That was Chuck, and he's offering up to
Yep. What else is happening today? Seeing a lot of good Christmas posts.
Hey everybody, it's Joey from Sky Diamonds in Town Square. Well, Christmas is upon us once again, and every store is fighting for your business. Let's truly enjoy this Christmas. Life is too short. Spoil your loved ones. Spoil yourself. Make this the best Christmas ever. Let's crush our competition and make sure you come to Sky Diamonds. Today through Christmas, 50% off everything in the store. Plus, use our interest-free financing. And no money down. Now you're all out of excuses. Run to Sky Diamonds in Town Square and make this the most unforgettable Christmas.
Getting quality employees.
All right, we'll wrap this up here.
Is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free.
All right, everybody. Merry Christmas. I'm going to get out of here at the top of the hour. Let's wrap this up.
It's time to experience the luxury, safety, and performance of a Volvo from Finley Volvo Cars, Las Vegas. Right now, we save $2,400 on all remaining 2024 models like the XC60 and XC90, plus rebates and incentives. That's right. This month, save an additional $2,400 in addition to Volvo rebates and incentives on all remaining 2024 models. Visit the new Finley Volvo showroom on Rainbow at 215 for life's journey. See store for details, restrictions apply. Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Comisario Tequila, the official tequila of the JT the Brick Show.
Handoff, Madison, picking his way, left side, on his feet. Touchdown Raiders! He kept pulling off of Jaguars defenders until he hit Peter. Madison with his 4th rushing touchdown of the season, and the Raiders are an extra point away from tying this game up early in the second.
That's a guy who plays hard, Alexander Madison. He was supposed to be the backup for Zamir White, but Zamir got banged up. Alexander Madison got banged up. Then Sincere McCormick got in. He got banged up, and we're down to Amir Abdullah and Alexander Madison. And I think Amir Abdullah will do anything you ask him to do. JT, back with you. Quick segment here. Next hour, Bill Williamson, the longest tenured Raider insider, will join me and also replay our conversation with Rich Gannon, which was very good. We usually play that on Friday, but this is our last show of the week. We'll be back on Monday. So we're off for Christmas and coming back here on local radio. I'll be on Mad Dog Sports Radio Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. to noon. if you have a chance on Sirius XM to catch me on that platform. So we're going to see New Orleans in New Orleans, and they had high expectations coming into the season. They fired Dennis Allen, the coach. I think that should be the landing spot for John Gruden. A lot of Raider fans are still friendly with Coach Gruden. I am. Go back with him. I got hired the same day Coach Gruden did in year one in '98. And it looks like with him at Barstool now, he's ready to relaunch to become a head coach again. He sat out. Okay, what happened was very unfortunate due to Daniel Snyder and the ripped emails that were ripped away from a server that to me were completely illegal, what they were able to do and how they went after John Gruden instead of everybody on that email list. And John Gruden took it and handled it well, I think, and it's still in court, and there's still an opportunity with him in court. But I think that we're at a time now where he's going to coach again, and there's going to be a lot of coaching jobs that are open. A lot. From the Jets and the Giants to New Orleans. As you go around the league and take a look at all the opportunities that could be there, New Orleans, I think, is one of the best coaching jobs available. Problem is their GM, Mickey Loomis, is always over the cap. They're always a mess cap-wise, and then they got to get under the cap, redo contracts, and all that. But it's a vibrant fan base. You know, New Orleans is a smaller market, but they own the state of Louisiana. They've been doing this a while. They have a Super Bowl, Sean Payton and Drew Brees. I think that job's going to open up, and I wonder who's going to get it, along with all the other jobs that are out there along the way. The biggest job available potentially a month ago was the Cowboys, but it looks like Mike McCarthy could still be there. So Jerry Jones likes him a lot. And they played great against the Buccaneers the other night. Their defense hit as hard as any team in football. Jerry Jones, who's the owner and the general manager, and Mike McCarthy have discussions and are having ongoing discussions about his future. Just not necessarily about his future with the organization. He was on his radio show earlier today. He said it's implied every conversation we have about a position, about a player, we are having an open conversation discussing the football team. Dallas is going nuts on what that means. Will they fire Mike McCarthy or bring him back for another year? 1 hour down, one more to go. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a great Christmas Eve. We got an hour to go from headquarters, and they'll have the head coach next hour. Thanks, everybody. Merry Christmas. Hope to see you soon. I really do. I hope, I don't know when I'm going to stream. I'm going to take a couple of days off from streaming. Maybe we'll do some type of live stream with my son. But thank you. I hope you have an unbelievable time, man. Be safe. Have a great Christmas with your family and friends. Merry Christmas.